So guys, we've arrived here at PSV Eindhoven, one of the three giants of Dutch football and one of the best academies in Europe. A proud track record of producing top technical players like Memphis and Gakpo. Join me as we go behind the scenes and find out what goes on inside the academy. Let's go.
Uit, Oranje gaat muurtennis spelen. My name is Jesper van Hoorn and I am head of motor skills.
Okay, Jasper, so tell us a little bit about your role at the club.
3 or 4 times a week here in this hall I give some motor skills training where we focus on the fundamental movement skills and where we focus on our donor sports.
Good, so then we saw a bit of the session this morning, lots of fun, lots of activity,
Yep.
lots of intense competition. There's some uni hockey, there's a bit of handball. So tell us the sort of outcomes you're looking to get there.
When we do the donor sports, that they get some movement from other sports they can use in football. So look at handball when they have a rhythm when they jump. Yeah, they also can use the rhythm for when they have to do a header or something else. So we're searching for some movements in other sports that we can use or we can improve in our own sport.
So then how much opportunities do they get to do this each week, these players?
These players got 2 times each week, 45 minutes. The 13s and the 14s, yes, 2 times 45 minutes. When they are younger, from 9 till 12, they have 3 times 30 minutes each week.
3 times 30 minutes?
Yeah, 3 times 30 minutes. So every training session, you have 30 minutes of motor skills.
And was that a typical format of the session, lots of competition and...
Yes, we also want to do some small competition to make it a little bit also more fun, because most of the players came here to play football, and when we're going to do something completely different than football, players say, what are we doing now? I just want to play football. So doing always a competition to make it a little bit more fun. But the most important thing is that they improve themselves in get better in other movements than they normally do. Thank you.
So we're going in, guys. The 17s are going to do a little bit of a post-game analysis with Duke. Also, we had that strength session with some of the boys downstairs. So we're going to check in a little bit of this analysis session now. Okay guys, so as usual, it's a pretty hectic start to the day. You always, these inside the academy shoots, you arrive, you're not 100% sure what to expect, but it's always like a bit of a whistle-stop tour. But yeah, great, we went straight into the session with watching the 13s and 14s, doing some, it's called a strength session. But yeah, some guys doing some multi-sport stuff, some guys doing some core and strength work. The groups were split actually on purpose, so some kids got to work on something more specifically than others, and quite sure enough they got a lot of performance specialists like Jesper there, who's doing the multi-sport sessions, actually a multi-sports coach, which is quite interesting. And then obviously then went straight upstairs, so then Joop was doing a post-game analysis with the 17s, which he's been doing as well. He's had a coach in the 18s, also does the 17s. So again, we've got a little bit of a break now, just get a little breath back. It's been, like as usual, quite intense. Then we're on the pitch again, watching the IDP session as well, so watching some individual work as well, which we're looking forward to. Obviously, my specialism, my passion being individual work. So look, it's a stunning complex here. It's a world-class facility. You can tell when you walk in here, the sheer weight and size of the club and the history, and obviously the expectation as well, because obviously they've got a proud record of developing players here. So really excited to be here, and really looking forward to seeing what goes on the next few days.
My My name is Kevin Brock, and I'm the assistant coach for the U16s.
Kevin, tell us a bit about what's going on this morning now out here.
Okay, so this morning we have a training for the U17, and then we split the players up in different groups. And all those players, they have individual development plans, and together with their mentor, they all have an individual mentor. Okay. They mention what the trigger points, what important points they want to work on, so what the main focus points are. Yeah. And then we divide them over here, we divide them into groups. Okay. And the coach with that group is a specialist in that certain area, so he's really going to develop the players in a certain area. And then we do that separate first, and then towards the end we bring all the players back into one drill, and we focus on the different elements that they worked on separate, but then we do it with resistance.
Okay, cool. So it's an individual IDP session,
yes,
individual
correct.
Development plan session. Tell us about the IDP. It's a big part of the club right here, the IDP part.
Yeah, the main focus of the IDP, we like to develop, everybody develops players individually, but the main focus is you want to raise individuals towards the first team, right? Yeah. So if you just keep them in group settings, it's very difficult to let them excel at one certain specific area or develop them at a certain area. So what we do is we look at the strengths and the weaknesses, and then from there they all get an individual plan that they go throughout the week, so that they can develop the best possible.
So then in terms of the structure you mentioned, there are going to be some small groups doing some unopposed work and then moving into some stuff with resistance, like you said.
Yes, correct.
Right?
Yes, correct. So, for example, strikers are going to do finishing, technical. Okay, how are you striking the ball? Where you placing it? All that stuff. Wingers, for example, they do 1v1s. Defenders are doing how to mark, those things. Yeah. And towards the end of the session, we bring that back into one certain drill, where all the different elements. So the coaches keep coaching the players they work with. Only then we do it into an environment with resistance, so with other players that they play against, so you get the competitiveness
and
back.
How often will your boys do this type of thing?
Every Tuesday. Every Tuesday they do this specific, but throughout the week they have like individual performance schedule, they have individual game tape schedule, you know what I mean? So there's a lot focused on the main area of the individual player, but on the field this is always a Tuesday morning.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Een dribbel. Hop. Dik. Aanname ertussen. Daar meenemen en er tussendoor spelen. Hop, speel in. Neem aan. Eerste aanname is meename. Boom, er tussendoor. Weg van de druk. Goeie aanname, Sebas. Heerlijk. I'm Martin de Laat. I'm under 15 head coach.
So Martin, tell us about your session that you did there.
Yeah, it's about a position between opponents.
Yeah.
And the pass from the one side to the other side, the support the midfielders can give. Most of the time we play with a 6-6 and a 10-10. Right. So it's about the support.
Work in the pockets.
Yes, that's it.
Interesting. How often would you do something like that with those guys?
And mostly one time a week. So on the Tuesdays we are with the under 17s on the field, and we do like this kind of stuff.
So really it's like a bit like patterns of play, isn't it? So patterns of play, sort of coming in supporting, sort of different movements, rotations. I mean, how many different sort of patterns are you looking for there with those players?
Now, first of all, for now it's like the understanding what they can do in a match. Yeah. So the principles, the support you can give, like the vertical support or the diagonal support. Right. It's about that now. Yeah. So that they understand what they can do in like the game on Saturday, or in the position plays we play in the trainings.
Give an example then of some of the things you're working on specifically, like with the numbers, like the 10 coming in and receiving away, because you stepped in sometimes with a bit of passive pressure. I mean, and receiving, like say, taken away from the defender
so
sort of thing.
If you're between opponents, so you're in the pocket, you have to your awareness have to be good, because you get pressure from behind. So where is the space to put my first touch in, and where I can play the ball after. So we want to go forward, so awareness, and then first touch, and that kind of stuff. And where do I take position to be between opponents?
Yeah, and you had it was a nice tempo session, good speed, good quality passing. I mean, I suppose that's just standards, right? You have high expectations of the players. Technical quality and speed and tempo.
If you play, the intensity have to be very high, and the technical ability from the players needs to be very good, because we want good sessions with high quality.
Yeah. And can you give us a couple of any other those key coaching points you're going to give to players there? Anything else?
So the awareness, which time, when is the time you can watch, and when is the time you have to watch the ball.
Right.
So if the ball is on your teammate's foot, you have to watch the ball because the ball can move.
Okay.
If the ball is from one person to the other one, he doesn't change direction, so then is the time you have to look.
So opportunities to scan and check your shoulder.
It was about that, and where's your first touch,
Yeah.
where's the position you take in.
Yeah, yeah.
That was about the exercise we did over there.
Lovely, thank you, Martin. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers, pal. So tell us about that session, Kev, you just put on.
Okay, so as you saw, we separated in different groups
Yeah.
where we were with position specific players that needed the same working points to work on, and then from there towards the end we tried to combine it in one certain drill.
Yeah.
And then what you see is that the moments we work, the intensity is high,
Yeah.
but in between we take some time to explain. So if this happens, try to do a little bit more this and this,
Yeah, yeah.
and then we do the same drill for about 20 minutes, so the repetitions are high,
Yeah.
and they get in the decision making a lot of times, right? So
Yeah.
it gets recognizable, and then from there you try to develop mechanics that you already know before something's going to happen what you want to do, you know.
So tell us, just talk through the actual session then. I mean, talk to bit by bit. You got a couple of phases, different phases. Talk us through the actual drill.
Okay, so you have first of all we started over here with a high ball with a header or a ball to feet, where you play numbers down, where it's very important to narrow down the space for the defenders.
Okay.
Now from there you got the midfield drill that you play in between spaces, right? So you find open gaps to move the ball into, and from there you move the ball out to the side towards the wing.
Yeah.
Where you played numbers, the underlap, overlap with the positioning in front of the goal,
Yeah.
and then in between, like in all the chaos, you also had a 1v1. So we have one player that really wants to work on a 1v1 offense.
Yeah.
So it didn't really fit the drill, but we just built it in, right? So at the end, it's not about making this look nice, it's making it effective for all the players that they get to the points that they want to work on.
And then some finishes at the end, some like one-time finishes. At
Yeah,
the
so
end
it's
of that
like,
as well.
and those guys also have working points of controlling balls out of the air, getting the ball ready right away, you know. So instead of like the pass just on the ground, he also tried to chip a couple balls in, keep the ball close from there, place it into corners. Don't just drive it with your laces, place it into the corners, those kind of things. So in all positions and all things, there's a lot of details, you know, and you try to let the details come out in the drills that we do.
I noticed actually, you had a little 1v1 there, then you had a little 2v1, and then it's quite interesting there, and you got all the positions really working, didn't you, specifically there. It's quite a nice.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to build in.
together.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's almost looking like a game that you like really take apart piece by piece, right?
Yeah,
so you have the midfielders, they try to connect over here.
Yeah.
Okay, if everybody gets clogged up, you move the ball out to the wing, you have your numbers over there, and then from there you want to go towards defending and finishing, because that's where you make the difference, right? In the box, defending and as well as offensively.
Okay guys, so just watch the IDP session there, inspiring, top quality work, you know, real position specific, really individual focused. You can really tell, you know, how important the individual work is here, the IDPs here, the individual development program. So now we're going to follow the 17s inside. They're going to do like a strength session, a bit like we watched the earlier session there. I think that's for about an hour, and then we're going to break for lunch. Like I said, like, you know, you always think about what the immediate sort of takeaways are that, and you can say, like, you know, a lot of academies do talk about having that individual focus here, but I mean, really, you can tell it's real pivotal to the methodology here. So really, really interesting and really, really inspiring.
Nou, de goede kleur spelen, dat is wel makkelijk. Openstaan, hard! Ja, is die dik!
My name is Enes Faber. I'm head of the academy in PSV.
This club is part of you. You know, you're part of the club DNA. You know it. You sort of, you know, it's in your
Yes.
blood, it's in your blood, if you like.
It's my blood.
Tell us then tell us what it means. The club means something. You know, not just playing for the academy, but, you know, playing for the first team. What are, you know, the important symbolic things about this club?
No, first of all, it's the dedication of the club. You know, I'm now for 40 years at this club. I was in this club for several years. Then I get out of the club to get a refresh, you know, the other environment, and then you realize, this club is more than a club. Is dedication, is a movement, is the way of living, way of thinking. Because also my father and mother worked by Philips, so it is more than only kicking a ball. Is the way we're living, we're doing together, cooperation, development framework, brainport, high-tech environment.
Yeah.
So when you are here, you start developing, you follow the movement, and we are creating stars together for now and in the future.
I mean, you mentioned something interesting. You said that you used to be known as the farmers. Is there something else like you working hard, like you work, it's a real sort of, like you say, dedication, but really hard working, like you say, community sort of spirits thing. Is that those sort of things, those principles really important within the academy particularly?
Yes, it's also in our DNA of the club. Unity gives power and strength, but also yes, it's Philips Sports Club. It was not only for the employees, but also for sporting environment, for the common people, for everybody in this neighborhood. You put it all together in one movement on the pitch, off the pitch. He brought us a labor, he brought us a sport, he brought us leisure, as fun. He brought us unity to do things together, especially when things go wrong. Then we start together as like farmers, you know. This is the power it gives us. Yeah. Be quiet, be humble, but on the right times performing well. Interesting. I mean, what sort of qualities, you know, when you look in, we're going to watch, you know, the PSV final game in a minute. What sort of qualities are you looking for in those young PSV players? I mean, on the pitch, tactically and personality-wise, that sort of thing. Tactically, technically, anything. What sort of things, you know, does a PSV's player stand out? No, we live in a smart region, high-tech region. So I want to see that also in the pitch. Look at solutions ahead of the opponent. Thinking smart, adapt very quick, dedication, brave players. Always pressing forward, always attacking. Be dominant, be the boss in your own house, like that. And then, okay, when things go wrong, don't worry, stick together and take the unity, because that gives you power. Lovely. Thank you very much for your time, appreciate it. Feel welcome, thank you very much.
So guys, just come out the meeting there with the academy manager, really interesting guy. Obviously a bit of a legend of the club, so I think it helps having someone like that as a figurehead to the academy. Really charismatic, nice guy as well. But yeah, a bit of a whistle-stop tour really there, because we were doing the session with 17s with you, and then quickly got pulled away to go in to see this pre-match talk with Colin was doing with the 13s, because they're about to take on Feyenoord. Bit of a big derby there. Obviously here in Holland you got Feyenoord, PSV and Ajax are the three biggest clubs, so they've got a bit of a local derby here. So out there into the pre-match talk, then in with the academy manager, and straight out of there we're going to try and catch the beginning of this game. It starts any minute. The boys are literally walking past behind us. U13 game, PSV v Feyenoord. So yeah, big local derby, should be really exciting. And we see, obviously we've had a bit of a taste of what Connor had to say to the boys, so we see how the game kicks on. After that, I think then we've got the 12s, and that's it for the day.
Willem Weitering. I'm head coach of under 12s, under 13 and under 14s, coordination of under 10s.
So William, run us through your session there, what you did there in the session.
First we did a 2v2 from high balls, outplaying the defenders, so with dribble or with passing.
Yeah. And so you had like the two goals together, right?
Yeah.
Ball goes over the bar, and then 2v2 basically, right? And there's a bit of sort of transition as well, because the two recovering players have got to recover around there, yeah? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Just tell us about what sort of things you're looking for in that
the first thing is the warm-up for the mind. So you have to transit immediately when you lose the ball. Yeah. So there are long distances, and they are in young age, so there are no injuries from starting with high level of pace. So just the transition, just the mindset to run after the ball when you lose, and also the outplaying thing, so the 2v2, so easy with not a lot of players, 2v2. So the basic things can already get learned.
Tell us about that at 2v2. What sort of things are you coaching in your 2v2s?
Some of them like to dribble, some of them like to pass. So the passes you want to improve them or trigger them to dribble, and the dribblers you want to see them how they can outplay it with a pass. So after the 2v2 we did a 3v2, and then you have to see the opponent, how are they standing, which space I'm going to attack without the ball, and which way of outplaying I'm using with a dribble or with a pass.
And how often would you do a practice like that?
Yeah, once a week, because once a week you focus on attacking, and the other week you focus on defending. So it's just the exercise is the same, but my focus as a coach and the things I coach are changed every week, just to where I focus on. So you can do everything in it, just the transition. Today it was the transition, just the attacking, just the defending. So everything, just this for me as coach, where I focus on to tell the players.
And then tell us about the next part of the session, what you did.
Positional game. So they're starting 7 against 2, and every time they play 8 passes, one defender comes by. So 16 passes is one more. 24 passes is one more. And just the one in 5 minutes gets the highest score. So the most defenders against them, they win.
Right, okay.
So every time you play a 7v2, you play a 7v3, also 8 passes, 7v4. Okay. So every time you do, you're doing a good job. One opponent comes in, so you have a big outnumbered in the beginning, 7v2, and it will be less when you play a lot of passes. So the record was 24, I think. Wow. So that's in the small spaces a good job for them.
It's basically like a possession practice, passing, receiving practice, where you're getting, the difficulties getting a little bit more challenging each time, isn't it? So you get a big success, it becomes a bit more harder, more So then tell us some of the things you're coaching the players in that game. What sort of gives them go over some of the outcomes? Some of the coaching points you gave in that.
Yeah, some principles. So what's the so wide up and bigger the field, and also focus on where they're standing. You have to need 1 or 2 guys in the middle. You can play around, you can play through, you can play over. So just where you're taking position, and also the ball moves and you move with it. So every time the ball moves, your position is not the best position at this moment. So you have to change every time the ball moves. And when there are a lot of players, the pace will go up in passes. So your change of position will also, need to adapt very quickly.
Interesting. And then tell us about the next part of the session then.
Next part of the session was the technical thing. Yes, it's a technical thing. Just some basics. Just focus on yourself. So we did a lot of in team with a positional game. Focus on yourself again. Some of them are outstanding ability is dribbling. Before it was a lot of passing, so 1 or 2 touches. You also want to trigger the dribblers and just put in some skills. And they can take some parts out of it that's used to them, so they can use it in the game. You saw a few players, they used it in the game as well. Yeah. And some of the players, it's just give them everything, and it will make your control with the ball only better, and take out the parts that you like and you can use in the game.
Yeah, because you mentioned there you give some to the passers and some to the dribblers. That's what you was talking about earlier, about how some players are passers, some players are dribblers, but there's very much a 50-50, in terms of the philosophy. You try and work on dribbling and passing 50-50 from the young age groups. Is that right? And
you want to put them in their strength, just for the confidence and getting better in the thing they are outstanding in, and also challenge them in the thing that's not the best thing they have, but you want to challenge them to get all round. So you have some parts of your football qualities that needs on a minimum level, and also the best thing of you needs to be on a very high level, because that's the part that's going to be going to be take you to the highest level.
Interesting. So tell us about the last one. You went into like a game formatted thing. Tell us about the game and some of the conditions you're putting in there.
Yeah, just the mentality again. So when you score 3 times in a row, you win, and the opponent has to do push-ups, and every time the same team wins, the push-ups getting doubled for the other team. So we started with 10, but when you lose again, three goals in a row, 20 times. When you lose again, 40 times. And when it's too high and you can't make it anymore, it's the end of the training.
Wow.
So just the thing to feel the playing like life and death, a little bit, and not just playing, also full energy.
We were watching on the sidelines, and what I noticed as well is that very high tempo, good quality game, but lots of quick play and lots of 1v1 outplaying as well. You had a nice balance there of you know, that sort of passing and moving possession, whereas also there's individual moments of brilliance there when they're playing up, you know, popping it around.
Yeah.
And also then, you know, there's little skill moves to get around players and lots of goals as well.
Yeah, and the focus for me is coach them to get in their strength. So the guy over here at the left side, getting him in his strength, so the dribbling part, and also seeing if he's using the other parts, like the passing parts, when he needs to pass. Yeah. So I triggered him with some passing in the exercise before. Now I'm putting him in his strength, but when his strength, his best point, is not the best option, I'm also checking if he's doing the other part. So that's the thing I'm discussing with them afterwards and before the next training session.
Thank you.
So, thanks.
So guys, end of the first day. All I can say is, wow, what a day, what an amazing day, what an intense day. Probably one of the most intense sort of filled first days of Inside Academy ever had. Just insane amount that we got into one day. So lots of sessions, we've seen a game, we've seen post-match, pre-match analysis, post-match analysis, fantastic. But like main takeaways for today was just, wow, Lee's got some serious players here. And like I was just saying to William there at the end there, like, what a great balance of just like players who can just move it and also stay on it as well. I mean, that's what football's about, isn't it? So really impressed with the first day in terms of not only just the quality of player, the organisation, the facility, or world-class facility here, and also obviously how welcome they've made us. So really thrilled and, you know, set back about how good a great day we've had today. We're looking forward to tomorrow and Thursday as well. So let's do it. See you tomorrow. So guys, day two, we're back. Look, just trying to still, you know, get my head together after that amazing first day yesterday. Now we're going to really dive into the nitty-gritty. Got some in-depth interviews with Colin, who's the individual technical coach for the academy. Been really impressed with what we've seen so far, so we want to get the finer details of what goes on. Then we're going to speak to a few other staff as well. Then we've got an 18s session, and we've got foundation phase in again later. So really going to see what they do with that carousel thing. So yeah, another fast-paced day. Really looking forward to it, but been blown away so far. Can't tell you how impressed I am with the program these guys going on here, and really looking forward to seeing what goes on more inside the academy.
During the Corona period, Joop and myself made the PSV skill box because we had so many things we thought about the game, and that's the reason why we made it. Skills coach from the PSV Academy and head coach of the under-13s and 14s.
Colin, just give us a bit of a rough idea about your general role at the club. What's your general sort of day-to-day duties?
I'm trying to help the kids to become technically better. So from the under-9s till the under-18s, we got the PSV skill box, so the skills program, what we use for the kids to make them more skillful. And as a head coach, I'm trying to help the under-13s and under-14s to become a better player, better person, and to become hopefully a first-team player in a few years.
So then tell us about the skill box. Yeah, what exactly is it, and what's inside this magic box of skills?
It's a tool for the kids to become technically better. So we're trying to help them with video homework, so things they can do at home, and of course exercises what we use as a club to hopefully to make them technically better as a kid. Yeah.
So break it down to us. If I'm a player, what does the skill box mean to me? How do I interact with it? What exactly is inside it?
The coaches are sending me clips on every single Saturday after my game, so I can use the homework as a tool to become technically better at home. And the coaches are trying to help the kids with the skill box, with the tools, with the exercises to become better in their overload games and every single part of the pitch, to know how to deal with the press from every single angle, and with all the press they give, the opponent gives me. So
break it down for us. I mean, so you said there's individual techniques for players to learn. Okay, and then what else is in there exactly? Like, you know, so there's like group exercises, there's clip games. I mean, there's lots of stuff, isn't there? So
many stuff. So we're trying to make them technically better with unopposed stuff. So the homework part is unopposed, and after a while we're trying to make the next step with under and overload games, like 2v1s, 3v2s, 4v3s. Yeah. And at the end of the day, they must be technically so good that they know how to deal the 1v1s, the 2v2s, the 3v2s. And at the end of the day, 11v11, because that's a game of football.
Okay, yes, there's lots of stuff going in there. So you have the unopposed work, and then it's linked into these small-sided game practices. You mentioned overload and underload stuff, and then you're breaking down the 1v1. Watch there, because we watched that fantastic, amazing presentation you gave there. It's one of the best I've seen, by the way, in the academy, really detailed. Breakdown. So let's talk about the individual stuff first, the 1v1. Tell us about how you break that down. And you talked about the different areas of the pitch and maybe how things look a little bit different.
Yeah, let's say when you have someone in front, it's totally different when you have someone in front, let's say as a centre back instead of as a left wing. So we're trying about things we can help them with. So instead of playing only 1v1 with facing each other, we were trying about to make an environment for the kids. They know how to deal with the press from every single angle of the pitch. With every kind of press they need at the end of the day. So let's say when you have someone in your back, it's totally different when you're like Thiago from Liverpool instead of when you're, let's say, Mohamed Salah. So that's the reason why we would think about not facing only 1v1 with someone in the back, but also what do you need every single part of the pitch instead of only playing 1v1s or 2v2s with one ID instead of trying to make it more detailed.
Yeah, so then is that a process for the coaches, or is that something where you're incorporating the players as well, you're getting the players on board? So what I mean is that obviously that's the stuff you're talking about there is very much in terms of practice design, but then it's also about awareness. So then are you upskilling the players? So then obviously the players realise that, for example, if I'm playing on the right side of the back, it looks different there. And then is that a process for both the coaches and the players, or it's just the coaches? It's about upskilling the coaches in their practice design.
Yeah, it's for them both in my eyes. So like I'm trying to make the coaches better as well with creative ideas, with new exercises for them to let the kids learn how to deal with all the press. But also for me to the players, like letting them recognize what you can do with the ball. First of all, in every single part of the pitch. So let them experience what you can do, and at the end of the day, hopefully in games they're showing us that they know and they recognize the press with every single part of the pitch. So when you're so skillful, it doesn't matter anymore where you get pressed from what opponent and what kind of let's say game you play. So there's a reason why we do that.
And talk a little bit about those ball mastery exercises, those homework activities you've created, and where do they come from, and why exactly you're doing them? Talk about the way you're linking them into the actual game.
There's not such like a big link with ball mastery with the game, but in my eyes it's good for the rhythm. Trying to use every single part of the foot to make the rhythm even higher as before. So in my eyes it's just for the rhythm, just for the motor skills, just to let like yourself explore how your body works instead of using it in games.
And so then I'm assuming that the other outcomes of that's going to be your agility, your balance, and that sort of thing with the ball. It
is like I think everything what we can do for the kids to make them technically better, but also like making the body better and making the body more adaptable. So I think ball mastery is great for that. Just to start up like for 10-15 minutes with all the players to be ready for the session.
I mean, and then that surely then feeds into the game, right? I mean, then that surely then makes players better.
It is. Too, right? So at the end of the day, hopefully they know what to do and the body is prepared for games. Yeah.
So then, to give us an idea, then this skill box, how many of these exercises will be given to these players?
Many, let's say 50, 60, 70. Wow. So we made a big database with all the principles from Joop, with all the periodization stuff, but also with all the skills who are combined with the principles. So we made a big database for all the coaches, and all the coaches can use all the skills and all the exercises they need. Yeah. But it's always combined with a week we use as coaches during our periodization.
And then I'm interested. So in terms of like your homework, what's the expectation from the players? Is it go and experiment, be independent learners, or is there a certain minimum they're supposed to do, or how do you measure that sort of thing?
The players are free to do what they want, but as a coaches you might see the environment where they live. So when some of them are making clips of themselves, some of them are putting the phone down, some of them using the parents to film or to make the clips. So for us it's more showing the environment where they're learning, but also getting to know something more about the players. So maybe when you're sending me clips and as a coach I'm always like, wow, great, but why shouldn't another player don't do it? Maybe he don't want to show the skills because maybe he's not skillful enough, maybe he doesn't have a phone. So we're always thinking about why should he or why shouldn't he film himself or sending the clips to the kids. So it's free for them, but for us as coaches it's so much information we can use at the end.
Interesting. And what software do you use to deliver that in terms of what players upload and how the coaches and players accessing that?
We use WhatsApp, so it's a tool we use with the phone. So like normally what you
a group chat.
Yeah, it's a group chat. I send it to all the coaches. Like let's say we have 25 coaches in the foundation phase and on the 13th, 14th. So I'm sending the clips to the coaches, like the mentors for the kids, and the mentors are sending them to the group sets. Yeah.
So then you mentioned mentors. How does that work then in relation to this?
So I can use a mentor to become better. So I can become a mentor for players, but also for coaches. So we have an IDP for coaches as well, and an IDP for players, of course. So I can help someone, and I could be a mentor to help him in his relationship or with his IDP. So it could be I can help, or I could be a mentor from an under 10 player. When I'm not a head coach, so I can be a mentor of one of the players from the first team when I'm not his head coach. So that's the reason why we help all the kids from the full academy. So definitely in the foundation phase and the 13s and 14s, we don't have like real head coaches or stuck coaches with a group. So that's the reason why I think mentorship works great for us, because I can help all the players, like let's say 150 instead of only 16. So that's great for becoming more technically and also becoming more responsible for my own IDP, because I want to be better as a player.
Interesting. And then another thing else I liked about your presentation, you were talking about benchmarks, so using those top players as role models, as you like. Tell us a bit about that.
Of course, kids love football, so they want to become their own idols. Let's say I want to become Messi, so I as a coach can trigger somebody to send him clips from Messi, so he can use him as a mentor, and the second part is trying to talk about the game, trying to become better with making it visual instead of only using it in the session.
Interesting. And then tell us a bit about then. So then you're linking it into your practice design. So tell us a bit about that. So we watched a bit of that great carousel session last night. Really excellent technical practices, and Joop said that a lot of those practices come from you. So you design those practices. Tell us a bit about then you're thinking about design. You say you want to get all those 1v1 elements out there, but there was a big combination of stuff there. There was 1v1 work, 2v2 as transition, as overload, underload work. Tell us a bit about your thought process in your practice design. How much do you change that? How much does that evolve? Is there like a stock of practices?
Like of course, maybe it sounds weird, but it has to be fun for the kids every single day. So it must be fun, creative, but also we're trying to make an environment when it's every single time a tough period for the kids. So sometimes they should really struggle with a passing or dribbling game, but my idea is always trying to become better with a struggle, but also with something you're really good at. So let's say my outstanding ability is dribbling, be free. And for you, it's maybe like a small party to play 1v1 every single time. But for you, it could be maybe a struggle because I'm normally for myself a passer, or I like to pass instead of dribble. So in my eyes, there's always a struggle. Must be always a little bit of a struggle for them to outplay an opponent 3v2, 1v1, but also trying to make things a little bit illogical. So I don't want to have someone in my back, so normally I should stay behind the press. But in today's football, as you might see, with Thiago from Liverpool, he wants to have someone in his back. So that's the thing he loves. So I'm trying to make them technically better in every single situation of the pitch, but also things who are maybe illogical for us as coaches. It's something they need to know what to do.
And tell us about as well then, I mentioned as well, because you talk about some players like dribbling, some players like passing. What about doing the reverse of that? So forcing the dribblers to pass and then forcing the passer to dribble, if that makes sense. You mentioned that in your practice line about there's passers, dribbling, that sort of thing.
Yeah, sometimes we're trying to make two groups, so a passing group, dribbling group, and sometimes we're trying to let them explore with all the passes in a dribbling exercise what it is to dribble 1v1. Like from everyone they don't like to dribble, or maybe less, but they need to know how to dribble. So that's the reason why sometimes we're trying to make them, or sometimes many times we're trying to let them be in situations who are a struggle for them. So at the end of the day, they are filling the backpacks, and sometimes it's still tough, and that's the reason why we're training. But our main goal is to make the outstanding ability. So let's say I'm a great dribbler, great in 1v1, that must be my top quality for all the years, because maybe that's the reason why I'm going to reach the first team. And of course the passing stuff must be better, but my outstanding ability is the most important thing in my IDP.
And then when does it start becoming position specific with these guys, with these young players, do you think?
Really good question. So we are talking about spaces what we can use. So we don't talk about positions anymore. So let's say a left wing or a number 9 or a center back. We will talk about spaces what we can use. Of course, we're playing from origin like 4-2-3 or with 3 in the back, but we're always trying to outplay our opponent. So if they're pressing with 2, we need 3 in the back. So that's the reason why I'm always trying about creating overloads in box 10, creating overloads in the center of the pitch. So we are not talking about positions anymore. We're talking about spaces where I can be outstanding and spaces where I can be technically good.
Interesting. And I'm interested. So, what's your own background? Where does this? That's say a fantastically detailed presentation. Where does your knowledge come from?
Good question. I was inspired by Pepijn Leinders since I was young. I played for the youth academy of FC Eindhoven. That's like the second club from Eindhoven. You've got PSV and FC Eindhoven. They are playing in the second league. So I was really inspired with his homework during his days at the PSV academy. So that's the reason why he triggered me to not become like him, but become someone who inspires kids as well. It's like what he did and does perfectly in my eyes. So he was really inspiring me every single time. I became a youth academy player from Lobbel United, that's in Belgium, so not quite interesting, but for me it was an environment to become technically better and do something with high quality players and become better as a person as well. Then I did some internships at Helmut Sport, so Jo was also over there during that time, but we didn't know each other really good. And I did an internship as well here at PSV, and after a while it worked out through the years and became a head coach.
But like with your practice design and stuff like that, where do you come up with the ideas? I mean, how do you keep, as we all know, you work in the environment, you've got to make things fresh and interesting and fun. How do you keep yourself fresh and upskilled and up to date?
We're talking about football many hours a day, so that's the reason why I'm still fresh in my eyes. So we were talking about the game for many hours a week, many hours a day as well. So I'm here from, let's say, 7 o'clock till 8 in the evening. So we have so many conversations. We talk about players, we talk about exercise, we talk about what can we do better next day, and that's the result at the end of the day should be that we are better as coaches and as persons as well. So I think talking about the game, of course, using YouTube, using coaches as mentors for yourself to inspire you. So that's, in my eyes, the reason I become better every single day.
And tell us a bit about like the IDPs here. So obviously that's a really big part of the philosophy here. Tell us how the IDPs practically work, especially what you're doing. How does that vary over different age groups and things like that?
Like the IDP for the players is something that they could help with the development. So kids are having 2 individual moments on the Tuesdays and on the Thursdays, which you already saw with the under 16s. So during the Thursdays and the Tuesdays, they're trying to become better in the outstanding ability or the focus points. So it could be something you're really good at or something you have to focus, what could be better maybe next day. So 2 times a week, they're really busy with trying to develop on like small technical skills instead of group sessions. So we believe in as a club, and I believe in as a coach, trying to zoom in on the individual instead of the group. Works out for for the kids to become better, instead of only group sessions and become better as a group. Because when you zoom in on the individual, I think you develop way harder.
Can you give an example? What some of those targets might look like, and how do the kids get the targets? Are you choosing them? Are you saying that you're identifying the players? Are you doing a bit of analysis in the game, or are you saying in training? Does it come from the coaches? Is it player led? Where does it come from? Yeah,
because we have so many coaches, we know the IDP. When I know a player, I could have an idea of what's the best for the kid, but because we don't have real head coaches, but many coaches and mentorships, everyone has something to say about a player. And at the end of the day, the mentor is trying to help him. But me as a coach, I'm held by so many coaches, so I know what to do with the kid. And of course, the kid can help as well in his IDP. So if I'm as a player want to become better 1v1, but maybe I think the priority is something else, we could still talk about it and have conversation about it, because it's his IDP, not mine. But I could help him to find ways and find solutions to become better with him, instead of only letting him choose. So I think we as coaches are really important for his IDP, and to to let him become better with his ideas instead of only I'm a coach and give your IDP.
But I mentioned the process because you do have quite a big coaching team. There's so many coaches involved, which is great because everyone's involved in many different things. How do you come together as a group? Do you formally come together as a group, for the planning, or is it more informal, or how does that process work? You assume you're getting so much input from so many different people.
We as coaches sit we sit twice a week to talk about all the players. So we have got many big boards with the teams who are going to play on Saturdays. So we are talking about every single player, individual player, what's good for his plan. So normally as coaches, he must be able to play with his 16s, but is it good for his plan, for his IDP? So we were talking about individual players instead of groups. So there's a reason why we can let play an under 13 player with under 15s. Let play an under 15 player with under 14s because maybe that's the best for his plan. So we were talking about individuals instead of groups, and that's, in my eyes, crucial for his own development.
And just finally, a lot of academies talk about having individual programs. I mentioned this last night. This is probably one of the best individual programs I've seen because it really is truly individual. You spend a lot of times working individually and in small groups. How important do you think it is for player development generally to have that focused time, not just to have it as a title, but actually have time where players can spend time on the ball and the small groups and working maybe more on those individual possession targets rather than group possession targets?
I think it's really important because you as an individual hopefully is going to reach the first team one day. So of course football is a game who is playing with 11v11 or 6v6, 8v8, but you as an individual is going to reach hopefully the first team one day. So we are zooming in on individuals, and I think that's the best way to make them individually, of course, better. With zooming in on their IDPs, zooming in on their plans to become individual better, and hopefully as a team as well at the end of the day. So I think a combination of principles, combination of technical skills, combination of his IDP in relationship with one of his mentors, in combination with one of his maybe benchmarks, so good for the individual development. And I think in a few years you will see technically better players who know how to play the game, and I think that's the best for becoming a successful team as well, maybe.
Lovely. Colin, cheers, man. Thank you. So guys, all I can say is wow, what an amazing presentation and interview there with Colin, who's basically the individual technical coach for the whole academy, basically designed the skill box there and the technical program. So that really blew me away. I've travelled around a lot and around the world, visit a lot of academies. Not that many academies have a detailed technical program like that and a plan for individual development. So really amazing, really blown away by that. Really, really feel privileged that they shared that with us and you guys as well. And I'm going to grab some lunch, a couple of interviews after, and then we're going to see a bit of the 18s session after that.
Vincent Hellman, head coach PSV U18s.
So give us a little bit of an idea of your role here at the club, day to day.
My role day to day, it's of course you're more here manager of the U18s because you have a big staff and a big group. We have U18s, also guys who are playing in U23. So for example, from my age, for the 08s till the 04s, it's a big group. So of course you are a coach on the pitch, but it's more a manager. It's more manageable.
So tell us some of those things you've got to do as a manager. What do you mean by that?
It's important there because my staff, we have 12 people with the individual coaches, with the assistant coaches, with the individual analyzers, with the physios. You have to give them the feeling they are all important in their role. They have to take the responsibility what they want to do also. And for me as a head coach, always to checking and the checking points. Okay, is it what I want for my own philosophy? Is it for what I want for the club philosophy? And it's a day-by-day challenge to keep it on the right way, but it's a nice way to do it.
Tell us about the generally though, because obviously the 18s and after the 18s is the young team and then the first team. Tell us, because obviously you've worked here in the younger age group in the academy. Exactly. What's the difference between that, that final stage before you take the step for the B team and
For me it's interesting because I started here as a U9 coach, and what I told you is the last 3 seasons I was in the first team in Wolfsburg and in Belgium. You can't compare it with each other, in my feeling. I was by myself a player, and if you see from the U9s till the U19s and then the step to the first team or to the B team in professional football, some players they are thinking in the U16, we are there, but you're not even started. And the professional way to perform, you can perform one game or one training, but the big difference in my philosophy and what I see in the last few years, you have to perform every day. You have to be stable. So if you're performing on a Saturday, you score 3 goals, it's nice. But the next Saturday, you have to perform again. And if you do not perform, they are saying, hey, listen, it's normal that you have to perform every week, because if you're not performing, then the other player is standing again in a row for you. So I think that's the big difference, to keep positive to the players and keep them chances, but also to be realistic. Hey, come on, it's a big step to play at PSV, for example. It's not a small club. Yeah. We want to play Champions League. We reached the Champions League last year. We are playing the Champions League right now. So also what we're asking for players, it has to be the biggest level, because otherwise they are not ready for the first team. And to be ready for the first team, it's difficult. It's very difficult. So that's my philosophy also in the youth and also in the B team. You have to be very strict on the disciplines, on the normal basics, and sometimes maybe we're asking too much and asking maybe too positive sometimes and too much explanations, because in the first team you're not getting any explanations. It's working. It's your job to perform for yourself, for the team, for the club. And that's for me the biggest difference in the youth and the first teams.
Yeah, do you think maybe that the academy is a bit more, not friendly, but a little bit more, a little wholesome maybe, then a bit more reality hits in the 18s, because like you say, it's a harsh reality, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, and it's, in my philosophy and also what I saw last year, you can do it both. So you can be hard and also be open and with a lot of empathy, but you have to be honest. So be honest also to guys from 14, 15, 16. It always depends on how you're going to speak with them. Of course, I can't speak with a guy of 13 years old exactly the same like the first team player. It's not possible. But the message of the conversation can be the same. And it's more like be honest to them, be strict to them, give them a realistic moment also, okay, that's my goal for the upcoming weeks, but say also, hey, listen, it's not your role in this moment, or maybe you're out for the upcoming weeks, and then okay, you have to work on this, instead of it's fine and everything okay, and then after 4 weeks you're not playing, and then the guy is thinking, hey, coach, the last 6 weeks you didn't tell me everything or anything. Come, be honest, be open and strict, and that's, in my way, it can be sometimes more in the youth, because you have to be strict because it's so hard on the other side. You're not getting any explanation. It's working, it's performing.
And I mean, you're lucky enough, you've obviously, you said you coached at Wolfsburg in the first team, you've coached all the way through. What do you think it is what's one of the main, we talked about consistency, but what are the other qualities players need to make that step? I mean, maybe players are technically fantastic or have everything asset, but is there one thing they may be lacking sometimes? You see a pattern of players, maybe they need that extra. Yeah,
the biggest thing what I saw in the last 3 years from the top players, for example, Wout Weghorst, I work with him in Wolfsburg, but also Maxi Arnold, he played 350 games in the Bundesliga. It was possible for them to find a trigger by themselves to perform every day better. So they don't need me, or they don't need another coach, or they find triggers from, okay, I want to be better today. Or okay, I want to reach the next level. And I'm thinking for the top players, they are mentally so well. They are so good, and they can find always trigger points from, okay, I want to reach the next step. I want to reach the next level. Okay, and next day I'm going to do it like this. And sometimes it's also a day off. Hey, if your body say I need a day off, but they have triggers by themselves instead of external. They don't need a coach. And for me, that was the biggest thing what I saw in also the Champions League games. What I saw, the top talent players, they have maybe the most potential, but when the full pressure is there on the game, then it's like, and the big experienced guys who are maybe not so talented, but they are mentally so strong, full under control, and they perform better in the big games.
So like self-driven, self-motivation, internal, intrinsic motivational mechanism.
Exactly.
So if you're thinking back then, because you've worked in the nines, you worked at first team, then what would you say then is, for the youngest players, what do we need to do for them to help them?
The intrinsic motivation, if it's not there, then it's too hard to reach the first team. Then you need to be so good. Yeah. And then still, because all the players, the basic level is so much better than 10 years ago. And if you not have that feeling, and also you have to adapt, because every coach is different. Every coach wants that you have to do on their philosophy what you have to perform on the pitch, but you need also to adapt your own thing and watching, okay, what wants the coach from me, and then on the same time, okay, what can I deliver to him? It has to be fit to each other. And but the intrinsic motivation is for me the most. It's the biggest problem in the youth, I guess, because we're giving everything to them, and it's everything fine and everything nice. Look, if you watch the youth academy over here, PSV, it's incredible. It's sometimes it's better than what I saw in first team in Bundesliga from the clubs, and for the players it's normal, but it's not normal. And if you find that trigger every day by yourself, okay, it's not normal that they can be here, but they have everything to perform and to develop, but then it's possible to reach steps to the first team. If you don't do it, for me it's not possible. I think it's not possible. It's too difficult.
Lovely, thank you very much for your time.
Yes, thank you, mate.
My name is Jurrit Sanders. I'm the lead academy sports scientist within PSV, and also I'm coordinating the performance department within the academy.
So tell us a little bit about your role then, day-to-day performance coach. What does that mean in practice? What's your sort of like, routine?
Yeah, on a daily basis I'm working as a sports scientist, mainly involved in the U23s, but also working together with the colleagues for the teams below. And next to this I'm also coordinating the performance department as a whole. So try to link sports scientists with S&C coaches, with sports psychologists, nutrition coaches, lifestyle coaches, performance analysts. I need to link all these departments and people with each other, and also of course to the coordinators and the technical staff.
Give us a bit of an idea what sports science looks like for the youngest in the academy, like the under 9s, 9s and 10-year-olds.
Yeah, so when you come in as a U9 or U10, we have our, let's say, monthly tests from a sports science perspective. That means every month all the players from the same age groups, which is like around 60 to 80 players, they will come together on every Wednesday, once a month, and they will perform all the tests, like sprint testing, long jump, hand-eye coordination tests, for instance, to one, get insight into the development of these players, and secondly, for research purposes. So we want to see why athletes will continue their journey through the academy where others quit. So why do we choose for specific players instead of others? So what do they have short term, moving from the U9s, U10s until U13s? What do these boys have different than the other ones? But also long term for reaching the first team. So are they faster? Do they move better?
Do you have an idea about that then? Can you tell us what those metrics are? What are we looking for? What gives the players more chance to develop through the academy?
Yeah, and in the end, they all perform better on almost everything. So they are faster. They are much agile. They have better work ethic. They have better sport learning capacity. They move better. Technical skills, of course, this is difficult to measure objectively. But the things I just mentioned, it's like statistical significance difference in almost everything.
And how easy is it to make a player quicker?
Good question, I think. I think if you look to what is asked at elite level, a specific need of speed and explosivity is needed. What I would call something like a threshold, like a baseline. You need a baseline, right. And to become a professional athlete in sprinting, in speed of the brain, in technical skills, in psychological skills. I think from everything you need a specific baseline, and on top you have your qualities, and that's why that's what makes you special, yeah. To become a first team player. And I think a lot of things are it's the same with speed. You have it or you don't have it, and we could help you to develop from a 6 to a 7 or maybe to an 8, but a 6 would never be a 9 or a 10, I think. So we do believe yeah, we can help you to improve this, but limited. Yeah.
You talked about the psychology there. I know that you're quite unique here. You have mental coaches. Can you tell us a little bit about that program?
Yeah, so we have some specialists in the field that are available here. With the younger kids, it's a nice combination because a lot of them have a background in sports psychology, but also are a football coach, and that's the nice thing because they talk the language of the football players, and they are coached themselves, so they are really able to combine, let's say, the psychological support with the football language that's needed on the pitch at the higher level or older age groups. It is a bit less, it's more background in a scientific background, but then there's a lot of coaching the coach as well. So we try to educate the coaches, coach the coaches in combination with coaching the athletes. But in the end, it was a nice conversation I had this morning with one of these guys. He said we have to develop athletes and teach them to be, how do you say this, not dependent on you as a coach.
Yeah.
So we should help them, but in the end they have to do it themselves.
Yeah, we were speaking to the under-18s coach and he said the most important factor is that intrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
Intrinsic motivation to do it yourself, to drive the work.
Yeah.
You know? So
yeah.
My question would be to you then, can we develop that with the youngest ages with the mindset coaches and things like that, or is that a natural quality only?
I think it's natural, yeah. I think, and that's also very interesting for Talent ID.
Yeah.
Work ethic is one of them. I really want to get some insights into that. How can we measure this already at a young age? Because it is again, it might be a bit improvable, but I think you need a certain threshold of it. So work ethic, I think, is very, very important in talent identification, but also learning ability.
Yeah.
And these are two things that we are not able to measure yet. So I'm looking for opportunities and ways to measure this. But I do believe, again, you have it or you don't have it. And I think we found a little way now. Hopefully, we can measure learning ability now a bit.
What about in the end of the journey, the 23s or 21? Sorry, was it 23s or 21s you called it? 20s?
Yeah, it's 23s. Yeah.
So what about there? What are those in terms of the sports science and the mentality? What are the small things? I mean, surely then it's just about little tweaks, for the marginal gains, just to try and push them over the edge.
Yeah. I think what you said lastly, the mentality. I think what I see in the last couple of years I've been in this team, to be able to make the next step to professional football. Yeah. First, to be able to perform over 60 games a year at top level, international games, Youth League, Premier League International Cup, First League in the Netherlands, as a 17 or 16-year-old boy against adult men, sometimes even twice as old as you are. You need to be mentally able to do the things you need to be able to do this, and because otherwise you will get injured or you won't play because you're not putting enough effort in it. So I think all these boys can play football, otherwise they weren't here. But I think the difference there will be made in one of the most important things is mental skills. Yeah.
Lovely. Thanks very much for your time.
Well, you're welcome.
Okay, so I'm Jack Brazil. I'm the under 18/19 assistant coach at PSV Eindhoven.
So Jack, tell us about your session there. What do you do?
So we're working today on the transition. So when we lost the ball and when we win the ball, it's impossible to separate the two. So we try and make sure the coaches are looking at different things within the exercises as much as possible.
So talk us through your session there, part one.
Part one was small, 3v3 plus 2. The two players usually are a forward or a central defender, so we're trying to work on them switching the play or finding through, so it's an individual focus for them. We had the goalkeepers in that position as well today. And then the 3v3, we started with it with one team set attacking, one team set defending. So the team set defending was set the task of win the ball, try and find a free man and score on the small goals. And the team that were attacking, we're trying to go, hey, if you lose the ball, press the ball back, win it back, retain your shape immediately. So we have both sides of the transition.
Give us a bit of give some ideas of some of the outcomes or the coaching points you've given the players there to pressing effectively.
Key thing would be the first player making sure that they hunt the ball is the term that we use, and the ones behind that protect the space in behind. So we added a rule in the second half of the exercise where if one team won the ball in one half, they had to go and score on the 2 goals in the other half. So then the team must go and press who lost the ball, push them back into that way, and then the other 2 can protect behind, or 2 can press and the other 1 can protect in behind. The next part we went to a 5v5 with 5 neutrals to begin with. That was about, again, the same thing. If we lose the ball, just the impulse to go and press. If we win the ball, we call it the half diagonal, so trying to play away from the pressure onto the other side or the other half space of the pitch.
Tell us about the setup there of that session. How did you get the outcomes of that? Tell us about the conditions and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so the key was that we had our positions correct because we had 10 players that were playing together to attack, so we needed to make sure we had our 2 centre backs, for example, 2 players on the side, 2 players in the middle, 2 as the forwards or the wingers inside, and then that would be one of the 2 players in the middle would be the 9 dropping in, for example. So we had those represented. So then if we lost the ball, it was pretty much representative of if we lost the ball on the pitch, certain players press around the ball, certain players protect around the ball. The next part of the session was here behind us. We worked with a build-up phase, so we had to make 10 passes. In the half of the pitch, they made the 10th pass. Then they would then go and attack on the other one to score. So that would be about, okay, now we go from pressing the ball to falling in and blocking and trying to protect a goal. So that immediate pressure moment is beaten, we've been passed through, okay, set into a block. And then on the other side, if they won the ball, they had to then score immediately on the same goal, or they could go and attack the other half and get double the points.
All right, and then talk about then the set piece. You brought in the set pieces there with the corners, that condition. Tell us about that and why you did that.
We're trying to get more set pieces and corners, etc., or I should say just set pieces, into the small-sided games and the medium-sized games we do. We find as we come into this level with the under-18s and 19s, so the under-18s in our league system and the under-19s in the youth league, games are being decided more based on set pieces. So we think it's really important that we include that element within the game, so those pauses where the ball goes out and they have to then refocus.
It's a great, very clever way you did it with the condition, wasn't it? So if they missed it, there'd be a corner for the other team.
Yeah.
The score, you get a corner.
Yeah. So we're playing with it at the moment. It's something we're thinking about, how do we get more set pieces in the games every time we play, and we have different rules that we use to do it, and sometimes on the spot Vincent, Rick and I will go, hey, this is a good rule, use that. So one was you score a goal, here's a chance to treble your goal.
And then you had you put a little time restriction on taking it quickly as well. So.
Yeah, the aim was just to make sure that it wasn't going on too long, because we don't want the players on the pitch for more than 1.5 hours today.
Ja, mooi. Goed gedaan, binnen buiten. Speel. Hallo. Is het? Hey, Arda Akka.
Colin Bergman, skills coach from the PSV Academy and head coach of the under-13s and 14s.
Okay, so Colin, great little session there. Talk us through it, please.
We start with a 1v1, and you could score points by dribbling through gates. Really important for us. It's not only facing 1v1 in front, but also changing of direction. So you could score 2 points, one scoring on the left and one scoring on the right, and you can use your body, your awareness to outplay the opponent with your dribble.
And talk us about the setup there. You had 2 lines going, right? Well, 2 groups. So one group go and then the other group go. I suppose because it's just high tempo, less resting, less queuing, right? So good way to set up so everyone's working quite actively.
Yeah, we're trying to let them be in the situation as many as we can. So it was we started with a pass, and after that you became the defender immediately. So immediately a pressing moment. So again, always playing with points, always playing with press, and always playing with many touches.
And then tell us about the setup. It was quite tight as well, wasn't it? Did you intentionally make it quite tight, that pitch there?
Really tight, because if your first touch isn't good, you cannot play the 1v1. So your first touch, first of all, must be good. After that, if your first touch is good, you could play the 1v1, and after that, outplay your opponent with a dribble. So
fantastic. And then tell us about you progressed it to the next part of the session.
Yeah, after that we played a small 2v1 with outplaying the opponent in an overload. So instead of playing 1v1, you had also the choice to pass. So to bring the players in, outplaying games in combination with passing or dribbling instead of only dribbling. they're also thinking about decision-making games. So normally what you see after those small side 1v1 games, everyone's going to dribble.
Yeah.
But when you add the rule for I can pass as well, they're struggling with it. So that's the reason why, again, tight, again, outplaying games with the principles we're thinking about, but still technically. Yeah.
And what, so give us some of the coaching points you might tell the players to support them in that 2v1. Are you giving them any guidance, or is it just let them go and figure it out?
First of all, figure it out, and after a while you see them, some of them are struggling, some of them are already quite good in it. So points I give them normally is how do I outplay my opponent? What's like a moment for me to pass or a moment for me to dribble? How do I use my body to outplaying with my dribble if I use a dribble?
Yeah.
So stuff like that. Yeah.
And what about the second player? Are you coaching the second player in terms of like angles of support or stuff like that, movements off, or
always trying to stay out of the lines? So I'm always an option. I'm always the one who is supporting. So I could outplay him with a pass. So when I'm every single time behind my opponent and I'm not out of the line, I cannot be an option. So yeah.
Lovely. That's good.
Joop Oosterveld.
So tell us about that session you did with the under-11s. Great session there. Tell us about it.
We start just by a passing drill with all the boys, and yeah, 2-touch, 3-touch, and we had 4 different colors, and you had to only play pass the ball to your own color. And we were thinking about the first touch and your second touch, but the first time you had 2 touches, so the first has to be in front of you. You have to be aware of where's your own color, so you train awareness, but also you have to choose position between players from the other colors. Then the second time you focus on 3 touches, so then your first touch has to be in front of you. Then you have to do with your inside, with your outside, because then you have to pass. So in your second touch you have to look where's your teammate, and you have to pass the ball. But also when you pass the ball, not move directly to the ball, but move to where's your space. So you have a lot of awareness, a lot of first touches, 2 touches. So the first exercise was quite easy, but you look to the players, it was quite hard because not everybody is capable to be ready with your first touch and to look around you as well.
And tell us about, I mean, it was relatively small space as well, didn't it? What, did you make it intentionally quite tight there? Or do you think it was not tight? I mean, that you could have made it bigger, or
yeah.
What's your thoughts on the setup? Tell us
yeah,
about the setup.
Because this is the first session of the pitch, and what we try to do is, normally we do it unopposed.
Yeah.
But most of the kids, they don't like passing drills unopposed because it's a little bit boring.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I do 4 players and a lot of players around, and I keep it tight, because then you have to solve problems as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And now you see we play 6v6 or 5v5 with more space. So now it has to be easier than in the beginning of the training sessions. So what I like to do is, you're building a sort of a chaos in the start of your session, and you have to be aware of your situation, you have to be aware of your surroundings, and you have to be aware of your first touch and your second touch. So I want to create a sort of chaos in your head, but you have to perform as soon as possible when the training starts.
It's like interference, isn't it? It's a bit of interference, a bit of like passive pressure almost, because like it's tight, but they're still moving it. Like I said, the quality is good. So then tell us about the next part of the session as you moved on.
Yeah, then we try to make it harder also in the mind, because then we had you have to make a 1-2, and then you have to play to your third man of your own color, and then you are focused on I have to make a 1-2, and then the direction of where I need to be as a third man is much difficult.
Right.
Because in my first touch and my second touch is easier to watch, but when I have to focus on my 1-2, then I'm not aware of my surroundings. So then it's really hard for them to look to your teammate. So then we did the 1-2s, and after that session we changed our mindset, because you can't play the ball to your own color, but you have to find a second color. So like for example, red had to play the blue had to play against green had to play against yellow had to play against red. So they have to be focused of, I received the ball from red, but I have to play to yellow.
Yeah.
So it's crazy for some players to do it, but you find out later on the session, it became natural. You have to be aware, use your shoulders to check. And I like those elements by checking your shoulders just because by opposition of your own teammates.
Yeah.
Then you have unopposed stuff, but you have to check the shoulders because the coach says you have to check your shoulders. But there's nothing around you, it's useless. Just by driving your car, check your shoulder, because you have to look in your mirror. And when you're done with your lessons, you have your driver's license, you don't check your shoulder anymore. So it's not because you have to look, it's because they say check your shoulder instead of be aware of your surroundings.
Interesting. And so the next part of the session?
Yeah, then you have to create a competition. So we have a transition game. the same 4 colors, your same teammates, but then solid transition form. So if you lose the ball goes out by your move or by your touch, and you have to defend as well. So then we have transition, you have defending, you have attacking, and you have the same passes than in the previous games, but now it's easier because it's easier or more difficult for some players because now it's an element of winning. So we count to 10, and when you have 10 passes, you earn a point, or 0 point if you're the defending team, and then it creates a little bit of excitement for the players. And some players, they count and they think we have to pass 10 times. So you build up the pressure, you build up the chaos to make it easier when you play small games now.
So it's like an 8v4 in equivalent, is that an 8?
No, 12v4, yeah.
12v4, yeah.
So it looks quite easy.
12v4,
yeah,
but still tough possession games, relatively quite tight.
Yeah.
It's nice and there was a good tempo, good quality pass. It was nice because you had it. I noticed the space was relatively tight. It made a good energy, good tempo because they had that.
Yeah, and we had even again 2 touches, 3 touches.
Yeah.
So again the same touches in the previous exercises. And then I told the players, because when you pass the ball, you go to where's your space.
Yeah.
So where's the defending team? So you pass the ball to the space and to the space around, but you have to move as well. So then what you see is they look to the opponent, then they play around to the play over, and they say, okay, now we play around and over. So you have 2 defenders, they press you, and the other 2 they stay behind. So where's the space then? Yeah, in between. So then you play through, and at the end of the session, we use all our principles. So through, around, and over the press. You have to when to turn, when to play a 1-2 in the center of the pitch, and where can you outplay the opponent to the side just by a touch or just by a pass. So all those elements, so all the skills, all the principles that we want to use in our 6v6 now, we trained in the previous exercises, where we started with a passing drill till sort of positional game at the end. Laten we zien, showtime.
So guys, another sensational day here at PSV's Academy, the second day, and again just like a whirlwind. So much. It's probably the most hectic, busiest days we've ever had on the Inside Academy shoots. There's so much going on every day. We go from one session to the other, so it's been a lot to take in, but and again really overwhelmed because it's such a top quality academy here, world-class academy. Obviously we saw the skill box presentation with Colin earlier, and then had the chat with him, and then with Joop as well. And yeah, this is like a real world-class technical and tactical training program here, and you see it on the pitch as well. You see it on the pitch of all these sessions. We've been lucky to see all age groups trained. We've seen the 18s all the way down to the 10s and 11s here, and that similar theme running throughout, that individual quality player development. So it's been another great day. Looking forward to a day tomorrow. Hopefully it stays dry for us. Going to get a few more sessions and finish off this extraordinary Inside the Academy. So guys, here we go, day 3. A couple of unusual things here. Obviously we don't normally do a day 3, but we're invited to stay another day, so we thought we'd stay. And also look, I've got the PSV clobber on, so really excited, a little bit nervous. Got to do a session this morning, 1v1 session. I'm going to team up with Colin to put a session on, so looking forward to that. But another day, it's a little bit grey and dreary outside, so hopefully we stay dry. We're really looking forward to putting a session on. It's in the last day of this Inside the Academy. Okay guys, so we just come out of the multi-sport room there, so watching Jasper put on that multi-sport session, really interesting there, lots of obviously competitive games, basketball, uni hockey, that sort of thing. So obviously that multi-sport, as Jasper was saying, it's a really important part of that, the curriculum here, the methodology, supporting players, improving that agility, that coordination that ideally then builds into the game. Now we're on to the pitch. Like I said, myself and Colin are going to put a 1v1 session with some of the 13s, 14s. I think my 115 in there as well. We've got 8 outfield players, 2 keepers. I'm going to do a session I did last time. Last time I did this was with the 18s at Arsenal a couple of years ago. So like a fun competitive 1v1 session, like Ronaldo type work. So looking forward to that. Hopefully it stays dry. And then again, a few more sessions this afternoon, and then we're heading back.
gedaan, speel! Achter de lijn aannemen. Goed gedaan daarin. Tuurlijk, goeie goal, speel! En deze mag harder in je passing. Lekker Eamon, go! Goed, doet zo wel, daag jezelf uit. Hard! Snel hier vooruit komen. Passeren, ja je ziet. Goed gedaan linkerbeen, speel! Komen denk je of was je te ver weg? Was je te ver weg of denk je dat je nog in je blok had kunnen komen? Tak! Juist, goed ingezet. Geniet er maar, wow! Is het? Ja, Mikey! Wauw, genieten! We hebben eigenlijk alles opgenomen wat wij hier allemaal doen binnen de Academy. Dus luister daar ook goed mee. Hij gaat je een vorm aanreiken die hij ook bij Arsenal heeft gedaan, bij Tottenham, bij Chelsea. Dus luister mee. Oké? Neem er iets van mee. Ondanks dat het in het Engels is, misschien moeilijk te begrijpen, ga elkaar daarbij helpen. Oké? Let's go.
Morning, boys. Alright, so we need to move these 2 goals over here. You see the white cone and the white cone? That's in the middle of the goal line for me. Okay, ready, boys? Attackers? Yeah, defenders. Colin, can you assist me on this? I need you to help me. I need to time 4 minutes on your stopwatch, and also you're going to count the score for me. Is that okay? So Colin's going to count the score, and he's going to do the time. 4 minutes we play, then you change. Understand? Nice play. Yes. Lovely. Finish that. Well played. Get the outside, then take the inside. Yes. Wow. Better. Yes. Top. Okay guys, so just finished my session, top session. I said to Colin, look, I said, look, when you've got good players, your sessions are easy, and that's what I noticed about those guys. All of them have good quality technical ability, all of them good on the ball, all of them had some element of 1v1, all right, ability. Really great session. In terms of the quality of the boys, it was really good. Got lots of good 1v1 moments. The intensity was good, lots of high quality repetition, got some goals as well, some good defending as well. That practice there you could probably do, we could do as a defending practice, especially for full packs. Sending players out wide, that sort of thing. So happy, I'm really buzzing. I've got to do a session here, top draw. It's like world-class academy, and really happy it went well. And what a joy to work with these top quality players. So Joop, we had a great little session, an individual session. I was privileged enough to put something on there as well. So we were doing a little bit of 1v1, and they go into the small-sided games. To explain a little bit about the process now. They're all going to go to school after this.
Yeah.
So they do a bit of small-sided games, and you were talking about how you want the coaches involved, even though the mentors involved as well in the small-sided bit.
Yeah, you saw this small amount of players with a lot of coaches, so a lot of individual attention to the outstanding ability that we want to improve in those exercises. Now we're going to play small-sided games, and today we put on resistance, so a little bit on level. So we have three pitches with different players on each pitch. And we select on level, so the players with the most and the best performance play now on this pitch. Yeah. So they have the highest resistance, and now hopefully what they've learned, they're gonna put in this session. Okay, cool. So and all the mentors that coach those guys in those sessions, they're here to assist the small-sided games and help the guys individually down the session or maybe after the session.
Lovely.
I'm Jesse Derksen, lead performance behavior.
Okay, Jesse. So tell us a bit about your role here at the club.
Yeah, so we got a performance behavior department with a couple of sports psychologists working there. And basically we're responsible for the mental guidance of both the players and the personal development of the coaches that we have at hand. So we help players on the mental part, and we have a coach-to-coach trajectory to support the coaches as best as we can.
Interesting, yeah. I mean, so you mentioned like maybe in England we have player liaison officers, they're often coached, but I mean you have a sports psychologist background, is that correct?
Yeah.
And also Joop tells me your nickname is the Professor, so assuming you're quite a bit academic.
Yeah. So I got an academic background. I don't know if the nickname is through Joop or through different people from the club. Or whether it's a compliment or not, but indeed me and my colleagues who have an academic background, and I think compared to other academies, we've separated like the more traditional player care with more practical stuff, housing, school, all those types of things, from the truly player care in terms of sport psychological guidance. So we got specified sport psychological trajectories with players where we try to develop them as best as possible as a human being, but also help them with all the challenges that they have in becoming a football player on a mindset level and everything that's attached there. And we also have a broad program to educate and stimulate our coaches on how to best deal with youth players and children especially. So how can you help them as best as you can with their development?
Interesting. So let's talk a little bit about the mentality and the mindset with the players. How does that work in practice?
Yeah, so of course it's quite difficult because in football you need to have a certain mental ability to become a football player. It's a pretty tough world, and that's something that you naturally develop throughout the ranks of an academy. But that comes with a lot of challenges, and we try to help the players as best as possible with those challenges. But the core of the way that we like to work is that we don't do group-based interventions. We try to stay away from workshops because the core of development in our eyes is the individual motivation of a player. And when they are motivated to develop themselves as a human being, we can't predict it. So we try to stay in touch with the players as much as possible and try to identify sensitive periods where they're more prone to any influence that we can give them. And when such a situation occurs, then we try to heavily input them with more and more information about whatever could be beneficial for their development.
Can you give us an idea of, like, in terms of what the intervention might look like, and obviously then how much interaction will the players have with yourself or your colleagues from this department?
Yeah, so you can think about more classical sport psychological topics like dealing with setbacks, for instance. But one of the themes that's been more and more important within our academy is, let's say, intensity. So we expect a certain intensity from our youth players, both in the playing style that the club wants to see on the pitch, but also the intensity that you have to bring to the pitch every single day of practice in order to develop yourself. And I think a lot of people really underestimate how difficult it is to bring that intensity to the pitch every single day. And we try to educate players in terms of how urgent it is to bring the intensity to the pitch, but also help them when they're not able to bring the wanted intensity to the pitch on a certain day or maybe a week or a period of a couple of months, whatever the reason might be. So in such cases we evaluate with coaches, okay, which players are doing good at the moment, which players are struggling a little bit more, and how can you as a coach help them as much as possible. And when the coach has the feeling that additional expertise is needed, then a specified trajectory with one of the experts that we have at hand will be planned in, and then there will be individual conversations. But we try to do it as much as possible on the pitch.
And then tell us about your supporting of the coaches. How does that work?
Yeah, so we got weekly staff meetings with all the staffs that we have in the academy, so U13 till the U23s. And it's basically shaped around a couple of themes. Are there any important things going on for individual players? What's the group dynamic like at the moment? So in what phase is the group, and how does that influence the individual development of the players? Yeah. And how does your staff as a whole work together, and are there any challenges there? So we take those core themes during our weekly staff meeting with the head coach, the assistant coach, our sports psychologists and the coordinators from the club. So we're in there in a meeting with 4, 5, 6 people, and week by week we try to evaluate the process that they're in and how they can alter their influence towards players.
Interesting. And where do you think, I mean, do you have any aspirations for this department? I mean, you have any sort of, things, targets or things you want to do to take it to the next level?
I think in general you can say that there are certain mental requirements in becoming a professional football player. But as I said, we try to stay away from a learning curve where you have to possess certain abilities at a certain age. I think the main goal for us is to support our players and trainers as much as possible within their personal development, whatever their most important developmental point might be in their eyes. And I think that our primary role is also to look after the human first instead of the football player first.
Lovely, thank you, Jesse.
No worries.
1, 2, 1, 2, voeten, kom maar. Prima. Klaarstaan, raak, klaarstaan, raak, klaarstaan, raak. Juist. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Prima. Hop, hop, duw met je borst aan. Kom, proberen. Probeer, hop. Goed zo, Manu. Omhoog. Daar, prima. Iedere keer die je hem raakt. Omhoog. Sneller, omhoog. Hop, die heup indraaien. Draaien, hop, die ja.
Betekent dat Gino echt onderkomt op het moment dat Jalen opkijkt. Dan pas kom je.
So guys, it was an excellent session there with the 17s. Colin did a bit of ball mastery there, and then Joop again did some passing and receiving. Again, talking about that 50-50 balance, which is really interesting here. Goes all the way through the club. I also want to say, we think about, you know, the technical program here as well. Is like what you see is actually, you know, the drills with the 17s and with the 10s and 11s is actually very similar. It's really good to see that clear current strain going all the way through the academy, that individual program. And as I said, like a lot of clubs talk about individual programs, but here it's really true. You can see that, you know, they're working on the individual, those small groups, that small quality group stuff, working, developing the individual technical elements from the 10s all the way through to the 17s. But anyway, now off to watch the 15s on another session on this pitch here.
Kijk in de tussen. Doe mee aan de zijkant.
My name is Joris van der Wesselaar. I'm the head coach of under 13 and under 14 because we're changing the different head coaches. We have 4 of them, and I'm one of the 4 head coaches.
Jos, tell us about your session you did there, that little positional game.
Yeah, we did a little position game with 2 teams of 8, with 4 in the middle of each team and 4 on the sidelines. The goal was to switch from inside to the outside, and to do that you have to support each other. Sometimes you have to step on the outside to go around, and sometimes you have to go inside to have an option to go inside the game. And that was it's all about support each other and checking which pocket I can
like a combination play.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what sort of the outcomes you're looking for in there?
Yeah. What we saw was they find it difficult because the only thing they were thought was the ball's there, I'm going to support there at the ball. Yeah. But they have to learn, they have to search between the opponents. Yeah. Where can I stand and where can I outplay someone? Yeah. And that's the next step. And I had a new rule where if you pass the one outside of the lines, if he touches the ball too, he has to go in it and we have to change. Yeah. But if he has a one touch, he can stand there. Okay. And that's why it came a little chaotic, and they have to adapt. But they had a really.
Sometimes chaos is good, right?
Yeah, of course. But they have to find in the chaos. They have to find the spaces. Okay, keep calm. Where do I need to go? Yeah. Do I need to support them closely, or do I step back and have an option further on the pitch?
Jullie komen aan de bal. Kijk of dat het lukt. Speel! Geen gaat mee, juist! Goed overzicht te houden, scoren! Ja, 1 voor Oranje! Oranje, go!
Martin de Laat, head coach under 15s.
Okay, so tell us about the session first. Tell us about the second part of the session, but your first bit there, what you did there.
Yeah, it was about the third phase. So attack the assist zone, right. And then after make sure there are 3 players minimum in the box. Yeah. To score a goal. So it's the third phase. It's about contra runs in the dead, and you're gonna switch the play, or you're gonna play the ball deep.
Yeah. Okay. And tell us about how you set the session up. How did you organise the players? What was the conditions?
It was about 6 against 5 in the final third, and then 2 players were waiting in the middle zone. Yeah. So if you lose the ball, you have to press immediately, and the team who recovers the ball, they need to search for these 2 persons to attack the other side.
Right. And so you're talking about playing 3. So what are the things you're looking for? I assume because you're working on combination plays, third man running, or some overlapping runs you talked about.
Yeah, final third. So it was about overlaps, underlaps, the contra 10 in our play who gonna make the runs.
Yeah.
So you can play around to the right winger,
yeah.
or you're gonna play the contra 10 who's making a run into the box. And then after, if you play around and you attack the assist zone, okay, minimal 3 players in the box, but we didn't come there because we had a lot of difficulties with coming in the assist zone as well.
Right. Okay.
So it was about that.
And so what was some of the help you were giving the players there? What's some of the coaching points you were talking about?
Yeah, so it was about the underlap or the overlap.
Yeah.
So if you played the ball to the side, okay, you have 2 options. To the side, underlap, assist zone,
yeah.
or to the side, dribble, maybe you overlap,
yeah.
or 1v1, dominate the 1v1 as well as an option. Okay, cool. But you have to attack the assist zone with a dribble or with a pass.
Yeah.
It was about that, and which players can make runs to make it more dynamical, to give the opposite team choices to make.
Make them make decisions.
Yeah, it's about that.
Lovely session. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
So guys, what an amazing few days here at the PSV Academy. Just want to say a big thanks to all the staff, Joop particularly, for help organising this and giving us this access all areas to this top class facility. And it's a world class facility, but a world class facility means nothing without a world class programme. And I can really say this is one of the best technical and tactical programs given to players that I've seen in all my travels around the world in academy football. And look, the staff and the players are dedicated. You're seeing those great results, a great balance between those dribblers and those passers, those well coming together to have a nice balanced program to produce top quality technical footballers. So there you go guys, don't forget like and subscribe because lots more episodes coming straight to you. But remember, master the ball, master the game, and I'll see you next time.